All right, we're recording so that people can watch later.
I'm not getting any, I now have the picture, but I'm not getting any audio. Why am I not getting any audio?
What? Audio. Dial this number, and then when they ask for the participant ID,
Yeah, I got this. Speaker.
are you hearing the piano?
Friends, let us come into this house of worship such as it is. Come bringing all of who you are and how we are in our homes and bedrooms and couches. Let's rest together our weak, worn spirit, and let us touch again the springs of hope and renewal. Let us calm our minds and our worries. And let us remember this morning that we're not alone, as we can see in all the pixelated faces on our screens. There is strength and caring here, and you can find comfort here. Look around, maybe wave. You are part of a community, and we can make of it what we will. Let us enter into this house of Zoom that is our worship. So we have just a couple announcements before we're going to begin. One is just about this whole Zoom thing. So for some of you, it's the first time using it. Heather Concannon is our tech host today. She has been amazing, and she is the person that can mute you. So the reason that muting is so important is that there's so much other ambient noise that it will just cloud everything. So the mute button is in the lower left-hand corner of your screens, and you just make sure that that's muted. Heather has the power, as Sarah just said, Sarah Hickok. And then the speaker view is up in the upper right-hand corner. So that allows you to have the full screen, in this case of my face, which is maybe unfortunate to most of you. But that will allow you to see who is speaking. And then the gallery view allows us to see all of us. And right now we have 123 different, well, people, but also just devices here. So that's just wonderful. And you'll also see that we're able to share our screen. I think Heather's doing that a little bit now for some reason. We ask you to
No,
grab.
that was a participant screen, so just be careful that you don't hit the screen share, or we'll see what's on your screen.
Right, do not hit your screen share, my friends. We ask you to grab a chalice if you have one. And then just a couple other announcements, and then we'll begin. More is going to be coming this coming week as your ministry team and staff meet together about ways we can continue to gather in community. So look for that. Initially, earlier this week, we had said that groups smaller than 10 people could meet together, but I think that the news has been changing by the day. So we're going to ask that no groups meet in person for the time being, so we can get kind of flatten the curve and practice our social distance. So that's why we have Zoom accounts, and the church has bought a significant capacity for Zoom, so we can figure out how to do that together. And your ministers and Dara Bryans and Heather Walker, our admin, all of us are able to help you access those. And the last but not least, as is our tradition, we don't invite you to coffee hour. You can do that on your own time after the service, but we do invite you to greet each other by giving everybody a big old wave. And we begin now with our introit.
Bright morning stars.
And please bear with us while we all test our internet capacity.
Bright morning stars are rising. Bright
And we will now, thank you, Sarah. We will now share our opening words, and Heather's going to put up the screen for our opening words. I will lead the minister part, and Heather will lead the people's part. And just say it to each other, or say it to yourself as you see. And remember, we're going to stay muted. Otherwise, we won't be able to talk in unison. Many of us have actually sent me and Heather and Emily these opening words this week from our colleague Lynn Unger, which are wonderful. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times?
Cease from travel. Cease from buying and selling. Give up for now on trying to make the world different than it is.
Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life.
Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart.
Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now.
Whoop. Ah.
Working on it. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear.
Do not reach out your hands.
Reach out your heart.
Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch.
Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live.
And remember, friends, just keep muting yourself. Some of us are clicking the unmute button and we can hear you talking, so please mute yourself.
All right. So this morning we invite you to sing our opening hymn. Oh, Sarah, you're...
Yeah, I can say hello to everybody. Hi. Yesterday, Kathleen and I went to the church in Melrose and used their space to record the hymns for you and some of this other music that you've seen already. And we would absolutely love for you to sing along in your homes. Sadly, I have to ask you to stay muted, not just because of ambient noise or any of that, but there'll be delays in the sound. It would be pretty much chaos. And you might want to check now that you're still muted. Otherwise, everyone will hear your gorgeous solo singing. If you want that, we can talk. We can record you for next week. How's that for a deal? But just so this hymn that we're going to sing is Comfort Me. It's very simple, and the words are very simple. Comfort me, oh my soul. And then the next verse is sing with me, speak with me, dance with me, comfort me. We've sung it before, and you'll catch on quickly. And I will turn that over to Heather to play that for you now. And mute myself.
Okay. And I am going to invite everyone to, if you have a chalice at home, I'm going to invite you to light it. If you have a chalice that you want to share with everyone else via video, I invite you to lift it up right now. And let's say in unison our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. We will sing together. So now is the time for our Wonder Box, and I would love to invite anyone who is here who wants to see our Wonder Box to come right up to the front of the screen. Any kids especially, just to come right up. Hi, Emma. I just happened to see your screen. All right, so we have our Wonder Box here this morning. And unfortunately, I can't have you unmute yourselves, so I'm just gonna guess about what you might have to say. So in our Wonder Box this morning, I have a stethoscope. And I was thinking about, I can't actually hear when I put this on myself. I was thinking about all of the feelings that many of us have felt over the last week, and all of the different things that have been happening and the changes that have been made to our lives. I know that a week ago we were in worship together at this very moment, and we were wondering about what was going to happen. And now many of the kids on the call have had their schools canceled, most if not all. Oh, I see, Jonah, you have a stethoscope too. That's so awesome. And I was just thinking about how many feelings that probably brings up for everybody on this call, to have everything have shifted so much, and to have us all in our homes and being told that we can't go outside and can't go into large gatherings. We can go outside. It's very nice out. I encourage that. But how it can feel maybe scary, or maybe exciting that there's no school, or maybe a little worrying about people that we love. Maybe we're worried about ourselves. I think most of us know that there is a virus that is making some people very sick. Some people are not getting very sick at all, but we're practicing what we are calling social distancing as a way to slow down how quickly the virus is spreading and to take care of other people. And I sent out some resources for parents, for kids. If you're curious, I sent out some resources to your parents if you want more information about that. But the reason that I put a stethoscope in the Wonder Box this morning is because who wears stethoscopes? I can hear you all saying doctors. I can hear it. And nurses, this is actually my partner Ian's stethoscope. He's a nurse, and he works at a hospital here in Boston. So I borrowed his stethoscope this morning. And I was thinking about what Mr. Rogers says. And Mr. Rogers says that when he was a boy, he would see scary things, and you might have heard this before. When he was a boy, he would see scary things on the news. And his mother would say to him, look for the helpers, because you'll always find people who are helping. And I think that in this time when we might be worried or scared or wondering about what's going to happen, or not sure about if we're what the future is going to hold, I think about all the people who are helping right now, and all of the people who are working really, really hard to make our communities safe and healthy as much as possible. So I was thinking about people who work at hospitals and sending maybe a little extra love and care and thankfulness, gratitude to them. I was thinking about people, the scientists who are working very, very hard to figure out more about this, this disease. I was thinking about all of the people who are still going to work and helping us get food and helping us, what else are people helping us do right now? So many things. I don't know how to do a Wonder Box without some input here. So just thinking about all the ways that people are really working hard to take good care of us, and to how much of a spiritual practice it can be to focus on the helpers, and to focus on the people who are helping our world right now in the ways that our world needs to be helped. So if you are a kid who is particularly curious or worried, I want you to know that the adults, you don't need to be the worriers. The adults are taking good care of what's happening and are trying to make the best decisions that we know how to make. And that there are lots and lots of helpers in this world, and that you also can be a helper. And that one of the ways all of us are helping each other is by staying home right now, because that's one of the ways that we are taking care of each other in the world right now. Even though it feels like we might be far apart, I think about all the ways that being far apart can actually be a helpful thing. So thank you all for coming forward to my Wonder Box, and it's good to see all of your faces.
So we're now going to transition to a time of prayer. So as we make this transition from Wonder Box into prayer, I invite you all to find a comfortable position. Looks like most of you are pretty comfortable already. If you're holding a glass or a mug, I invite you to put it down just for the next few moments and sit back. Let your body be supported by whatever seat that you're in. And let your hands just rest in your lap or at your side or wherever feels comfortable. We are all carrying so much anxiety and stress in our bodies these days. So I invite you all now to just take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, let some of that anxiety leave your body. Take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, release the stress as much as you're able. You can roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Try to soften any muscles that may be tense right now, especially in your neck and your jaw. As we enter into our time of prayer, give your mind, your heart, and your body the gift of rest right now. Just rest. We will begin with our call to prayer, Ubi Caritas, and Heather will play Sarah's recording. You're invited to sing along as you're muted.
Deus,
So in this virtual space of worship, we will be offering prayers in a new way this morning. Since all of you are muted except for the worship leaders, I will invite you to offer your prayers aloud or in silence to yourselves as we hold this space for each other. We are all carrying prayers for our loved ones this morning. Prayers for those whose immune systems are fragile. Prayers for those who are older or for those who are already dealing with some kind of illness. We also hold our leaders in our hearts, our ministers, our staff, the lay leaders of our congregation, our community leaders, our government leaders, on all of those who are working to keep us safe. So I now invite you to speak your prayers for loved ones, either aloud or in silence. For all of these prayers, we light a candle. For our world.
Don't unmute.
For all of the countries across the globe that face this pandemic, for the health workers in every corner of our earth who are striving to protect us and our children, for those who, despite the dangers, must work outside their homes to survive and feed their families, for the lives that have been lost and the lives that are struggling to survive. I now invite you to speak your prayers for the world, either aloud or in silence. For all of these prayers, we light a candle. And finally, prayers of thanksgiving. We remember how much we have to be grateful for our own health in the light of this crisis, for the flexibility we may enjoy to work from home, for the safety of our children and the safety that we are able to afford ourselves when so many cannot. I now invite you to speak your prayers of thanksgiving, either aloud or in silence. And for all of these prayers, we light a candle. Friends, holding all these prayers on our hearts, I invite you now to join me in prayer. Holy One, we have too much to hold this morning. We hold anxiety for ourselves, our loved ones, and even the survival of our world. For our health to be spared and for our homes to remain places of sanctuary. For our loved ones to stay safe and our communities to remain strong. We hold frustration for all of the ways this crisis has disrupted our daily lives, for all of the plans we were looking forward to, for the trips that are now canceled, for the gatherings and events that have been rescheduled to who knows when, for the joys of this life that seem to have been put on indefinite hold. We hold sadness for the reality of our physical separation from each other, for the self-distancing that we know is necessary, but which may make us feel lonely and alone in this crisis. In this time of global fear, let us choose to respond to each other with love. Help us to see what this crisis has to teach us, that we are deeply, deeply interconnected, that our thriving is dependent on the thriving of those in our families, in our neighborhoods, in our country, and in our entire world. Help us to embrace the opportunities that this moment provides us, for the time it may give us to rest, to reflect, to connect with loved ones. May we now take the time to call that friend that we haven't talked to in years. May we read that book that has been gathering dust on our shelf. And may we embrace the silver lining of this dark cloud in our midst. In all of this, help us to remember that we are not alone. We have never been alone. May we all feel the truth of that belonging, that connection, that great love that binds us together forever. May it be so. Let us now be still together.
Friends, this morning we had planned to share our morning offering with Dignity Matters, which is a nonprofit organization that collects and purchases supplies, feminine supplies, and hygiene products, which include bras and underwear for women and girls who are homeless or disadvantaged, in order to help them stay healthy and regain self-confidence and live with basic dignity. So after the service is over, the last screen shares that you'll see is a link to Dignity Matters. You also see a link there to our online church database. And we'll also put links up in the chat box so that you can, if you're able to, I know in these are uncertain economic times, to contribute and support both Dignity Matters and our church, our ministries, and the work that a place like Dignity Matters does is obviously really important in these times. So thank you very much for your generosity. Heather will share our reading.
Our reading this morning is titled Wash Your Hands by Danny Midnight. And many of you, I'm sure, have seen this and passed it around on social media as well. We are humans relearning to wash our hands. Washing our hands is an act of love. Washing our hands is an act of care. Washing our hands is an act that puts the hypervigilant body at ease. Washing our hands helps us return to ourselves by washing away what does not serve. Wash your hands like you are washing the only teacup left that your great-grandmother carried across the ocean. Like you are washing the hair of a beloved who is dying. Like you are washing the feet of Grace Lee Boggs, Beyonce, Jesus, your auntie, Audre Lorde, Mary Oliver. You get the picture. Like this water is poured from a jug your best friend just carried for 3 miles from the spring they had to climb a mountain to reach. Like water is a precious resource made from time and miracle. Wash your hands and cough into your elbow, they say. Rest more, stay home, drink water, have some soup, they say. To which I would add, burn some plants your ancestors burned when there was fear in the air. Boil some aromatic leaves in a pot on your stove until your windows steam up. Open your windows, eat a piece of garlic every day. Tie a clove around your neck. Breathe. My friends, it is always true, these things. It has already been time. It is always true that we should move with care and intention, asking, do you want to bump elbows instead with everyone we meet? It is always true that people are living with one lung, with immune systems that don't work so well, or perhaps work too hard, fighting against themselves. It is already true that people are hoarding the things that the most vulnerable need. It is already time that we might want to fly on airplanes less and not go to work when we are sick. It is already time when we might want to know who in our neighborhood has cancer, who has a new baby, who is old with children in another state, who has extra water, who has a root cellar, who is a nurse, who has a garden full of a campaign and nettles. It is already time that the temporarily non-disabled people think about people living with chronic illnesses and disabled folks, that young people think about old people. It is already time to stop using synthetic fragrances, not to smell like bodies, to pretend we're all not dying. It is already time to remember that those scents make so many of us sick. It is already time not to take it personally when somebody doesn't want to hug you. It is already time to slow down and feel how scared we are. When we are already afraid, we are already living in the time of fires. When fear arises, and it will, let it wash over your whole body instead of staying curled up tight in your shoulders. If your heart tightens, contract and expand. Science says compassion strengthens the immune system. We already know that, but capitalism gives us amnesia and tricks us into thinking that it's the thing that protects us, but it's the way we hold the thing, the way we do the thing. Those of us who have forgotten amuletic traditions, we turn to hoarding hand sanitizers and masks. We find someone to blame. We think that it will help. Want to blame something? Blame capitalism, blame patriarchy, blame white supremacy. It is already time to remember to hang garlic on our doors, to dip our handkerchiefs in thyme tea, to rub salt on our feet, to pray the rosary, to kiss the mezuzah, to cleanse with an egg. In the middle of the night, when you wake up with terror in your belly, it is time to think about stardust and geological time, redwoods and dance parties and mushrooms remediating toxic soil. It is time to care for one another, to pray over water, to wash away fear every time we wash our hands.
So friends and family, here is our world. Beautiful and scary things will happen and are happening. Let us keep our hearts tender and our eyes soft and our words true, because this is what you and I are about. We know there is no answer but to love each other. We bear witness against unnecessary destruction. And we gather in community to practice being the person that we say we want to be. We cannot do everything, but we can do something. And that something is never nothing. So in these times, let us forget our perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. And you can say with me, with your mute button on, that is how the light gets in. So in the overwhelming blur and lurching headlines and maddening to me, and maybe to you too, press conferences and speeches that this week has been, what's coming to mind as we gather this morning across the social distance of our screens, our hearts and our spirits and our faces reaching through the pixels to help us hold together our fear and help us hold together our hope too. What's coming to mind to me is the moment on Friday. It was just 2 days ago. It feels like an eternity though, doesn't it? When Karen and I opened our front door and down our front steps to walk our way to CVS to hunt down not toilet paper, we still have some, not Purell because it's like liquid gold, and not Clorox wipes because they're more rare and fine than sheets of silk, but instead we're on our way to CVS to find something even more important and worthy of hoarding. We're on our way to find chocolate. And we're on our way to not find just any chocolate, but very specifically those Cadbury candied chocolate Easter eggs that crunch and then melt in your mouth in just such a way that prove God exists and wants you to savor the simple things in life. And I'm thinking how much we need to learn and lean into that simple truth of the simple things, because so much of everything else feels scary and uncertain. Friday afternoon, you might remember, it was warm, it was windy, and the sun through the trees as we were walking, and blue patches of sky, they offered this note of discord and dissonance, but they also offered an antidote to all that has changed in the last week. And at our side, or rather 5 feet out in front of us, keeping his social distance, was the dog, Shaka, on his leash. He was smiling even more than usual because while the humans across the world are stressed and strained, one population that is surely glad for this new normal are our pets, because now they have us home with them all the time. So Holliston schools had been canceled the night before on Thursday night, like a 10 o'clock text. And what that meant was that all day Friday, there were these kids who were riding bikes and razor scooters up and down the street. And they were all riding in the middle of the street, in fact, because all the cars were either stuck in the parking lot of Market Basket or they were idle in their driveways. Now, normally the kids on my street just blaze by me without an eye of acknowledgement because I'm an adult and I guess I'm old. But on Friday, just as we came down the stairs, a trio of 9-year-olds came rushing up to us. Hey, hi, 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 they said like this rapid succession. Hey, everybody, we said, Karen and I said. And then they said, now that we're not in school, we're starting a dog walking business. Can we walk your dog? We're offering a good price. $2 per walk, or 6 walks for 10. I'm thinking, and you're thinking, so much has been canceled, but on the list of what hasn't been canceled is entrepreneurial spirit. Okay, we say, can you start on Monday? And they're like, we could start now, but I guess Monday's okay. Can we come in the morning? You can come in the morning. And then off the trio of kids went to the next house squealing, we got another. And then further down the street around the block, Karen and I are also noticing this, how whisper quiet the streets are. But here and there, small groups are walking. There are families, there are couples, there are friends, and they're walking. And if before, even in my little small town of Holliston, most of the people would pass by, we'd pass by each other without acknowledging each other. Now everyone makes a point to lift their head and offer a greeting. You know, it's a cliche to note how disruption in our lives causes us to change our behavior toward one another. And it's also true to note that not all of those changes are welcome. We've seen the hoarding, we've seen the panic. But I'm also noticing that this is also true. How here in America, we live in and we celebrate an individualistic culture, but when big, hard, scary things happening and overwhelming things happen, what I notice is that all of us want to and long to become part of a collectivist culture and not an individualistic culture. We don't want to be isolated from each other. We don't want to be quarantined from each other. We don't want to pretend anymore that we're not reliant on each other, which is why this new and necessary practice of social distancing is so painful, because we know the very thing that we need, which is connection, is the thing that risks our own and everyone's health, especially those of us who are most vulnerable. And it's heartbreaking. At Q, we're at the CVS now on Central Street in Holliston. And I'm waiting out front of the CVS with the dog, and Karen stands in line. That it's a line apparently is snaking back through the aisles to the greeting card section. As if on cue, a woman pulls up into the handicap spot right where I'm standing, and she slips on the wheelchair sign on her rearview mirror, and then she puts a face mask on. And slowly being the CVS that we have, the door doesn't work properly. The door only opens halfway, and she can't get in. All week, I'm worried about church. I'm worried about Zoom. I'm worried about me. I have asthma. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about everything. But I'm also worried about the close-in things. And now I'm seeing this woman who can't get in the door. And I realize that now is the time for me and for you, for us, to practice being the person that we say we want to be. People who protect ourselves from sickness, but also people who will not wall each other off from other people. Many of whom, indeed some of us on our call this morning, who will be suffering from isolation and from anxiety and from fear, or even from the coronavirus itself. So I'm helping this woman get inside to CVS, and I'm thinking, as I expand my heart, I'm thinking and I'm wondering what this will look like for me and for you in the coming weeks. Here, I think, is what it can look like right in the near term. When you hear the president or someone else refer to this as a foreign virus, as the China virus, I want us to take a breath and say aloud in these times, there is no them or us. There is no foreign or domestic. There is no me and you. There is only we and us. And when we see others, or we watch ourselves maybe scramble for an extra box of pasta or tuna fish, or feel an urge to grab one more pack of toilet paper that we probably don't even need, and we think about, imagine going to a safer place, maybe now, more than ever, we can feel some empathy, a deeper empathy for all those in the world who are fleeing war and famine and poverty. Friends, now we know, we have a glimpse even of what that might feel like. And another thing we can do is that when we get to feeling helpless, because that is what fear does, it just paralyzes. We think we have nothing left to give. We don't know what to do. I want us to remember that the most vulnerable among us, people who are frail, people who don't have health insurance, people who don't have paid sick leave, people who don't have immune systems people whose immune systems are suppressed, that all of those people and the people in our families need our love and care, and that we are not helpless to make a phone call, to make an offer to shop for food, to write a letter of support and acknowledgement and slip it in somebody's mailbox. We are not helpless to let all of the people around us in our neighborhoods and our communities, to let them know one important thing, which is that we see you. And for those in our own midst, in the community of UUAC, who count yourselves among this vulnerable population, we make you this promise. We love you. We see you. We are here with you, and we are here for you. After what feels like an eternity, Karen finally comes out with chocolate Easter eggs in hand and extra asthma medication for me and for Emerson, our college son, who is now home from college like every other student in the country. And she holds up her phone with news of some latest horror headline. But then she says out loud to me and to herself and to the parking lot, no, nope, enough. Because if we can binge on Netflix, what's also true is that we can binge on bad news. We need to protect our bodies from infection, friends, but we also need to protect our spirits and our mental health from infection too. So adults and parents, I ask us to find a balanced way for us to stay informed about all of that, what is going on. Pick a couple times a day to do that. And then find a way to put all of that awareness and that news addiction down and do other things. And to our children and our youth, as Heather said, but cannot be said enough, I want us to, and you, to look out for the helpers. And when you are worried, I want you to remember that it is the job of the grown-ups in your life, which is all of us and your parents and your teachers and everybody in our community. I want you to know that it is our job to worry for you, that we have you. And the last thing that we can do to protect our spirit and our mental health from an infection is that we can remember, in the midst of all the cancellations, as I put up on on our Facebook page to remember what hasn't been canceled. Getting outside, that's not canceled. Being together as a family, that's not canceled. Singing, that's not canceled. Laughter, that's not canceled. Dancing in your house, I mean, that's not canceled. And you know what else isn't canceled? Hope isn't canceled. I have been your minister for almost 18 years, and we have been through hard times and hard moments in our world and our community. And from those experiences, I lean into this experience because I know that the community that we have and the connections we've made are, and the faith that we have, are made for these moments. They are made for this time. So together, across our social distance, across our fear, across the unknown, I know that we will get through. Say with me, amen. And Sarah's going to lead us in our last song.
I'll lead us by recording again. And this is a song most of us have sung before. There is more love somewhere. And there's just 4 verses. I think you'll see the recording this time instead of the words. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There's more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. Please sing along.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
It's so wonderful to hear Sarah's voice and Kathleen on the piano. Friends, let us say together our call to ministry, and Heather will put up the slide. Our faith lived out into the world, especially for these times. And after that, I will give us our final blessing. So let us say together, we go forth into the world in peace, to act with works of love, to affirm each person's dignity, and to cherish the living earth. Our final blessing. Blessed are the elderly and the immunosuppressed. Blessed are the fearful and the anxious and the irritable. Blessed are the ones who use humor to get by and the ones who could use a vacation anyway. The ones who fear for their life, blessed are they. Blessed are the ones who are sick of it. All the flawed logic, the security theater, the press conferences. Blessed are the ones who cry out, this is why we need a safety net, a kinder society, a new world. And blessed are the healthcare workers and the administrators catching heat for every decision. Blessed are the messengers with no power over the message. Blessed are the sad and the lonely. Blessed are the healthy and the sick. Blessed are the well and the unwell. Blessed are all those who are just trying to do our best. Blessed are those who stay kind and clear. Blessed who keep our eyes open to each other. Blessed is our neighbor. And blessed are we. Blessed are we all. Blessed are we all. So we'll have our postlude, and then after that, Heather will put up the slides for the offering. And I just want to thank everyone for showing up in such a terrific way this morning, and we get to do it again next week. Same time, same place. We love you.
Bye, everybody. Take good care. And look for upcoming information about other ways to stay connected this week. We'll be sending stuff out soon. Take good care.